Will I tell you again the breathing technique? I find if I hold before my mind's eye what I would like to activate, I make it so that it really thrills me. A conversation between two friends discussing the fulfillment of their dream, which is my dream for them. And then you breathe in and you breathe out. You inhale and exhale. It's a complete personal thing. I can't give you numbers. You don't do it once, twice, or 50 times. It's entirely up to you to breathe in and breathe out while you're listening to this conversation and bring yourself to the limit of a thrill. Then with one deep, deep inhalation, your whole body explodes. Every little atom seems to open and something goes out. As you're told in Scripture, who has touched me? For I perceive virtue has gone out of me. You touched it on the inside. You made it real and you exploded. It comes with the last inhalation. But this is something that is very personal. You must try it. If two are working from different angles for a common goal for someone else, it doesn't really matter. It doesn't really matter. I have friends who will call me and ask me to hear good news for them. I know from their own confession in the past they haven't broken that little trick, but they want to be sure. So they call their Christian Science practitioner, the Unity practitioner, Science of Mind practitioner. They call all the practitioners in the hope that one is going to hit it. A complete absence of faith on the part of the one who wants the help. My teaching is not based upon theory. I did not sit down to work out a workable philosophy of life. My teaching is based upon the experience of Scripture. I have experienced Scripture. And Scripture is not the product of human wisdom. It's not. It's revelation. But unnumbered isms in the world, brilliant minds, wonderful minds, they sat down and gathered themselves together to work out what they consider the right path. And so all these isms are based upon just such human wisdom. The Bible is not human wisdom. In its search for the meaning of life and for God, the human mind could never have conceived of the story of the gospel. Never could he conceive it. It's something that was revealed to man. As Paul said, I did not hear it from a man, nor was I taught it by a man, but it came through a revelation of Jesus Christ. He unveils himself in you, as you. And you've been looking for him on the outside all through the centuries. And suddenly it happens. And it's so different in prospect from what it comes to be seen in retrospect. After it's happened to you, well then you know. So my teaching is not speculation. I'm not theorizing. I'm telling you what I know from experience. And it's all Scripture. Of course, the world thinks they're wrong Scripture. They will say, what? That's an old book, a myth. That belongs to the dead ages. Let us get something new. And so they'll get something new. You'll find other isms springing up too. All over the world. Did you hear the question? Is this system a system that can be used towards spiritual translation? You cannot in any way hasten your spiritual growth. Spiritual maturity is a gradual state from a God of tradition to a God of experience. You can't possibly, by not eating certain things, or by eating certain things, or by attending certain classes, or not attending certain classes, in other words, hasten your spiritual growth. It's coming. What you can do with this principle, that's why I call it both the law and the promise. The promise comes first. The law comes 400 years later. 400 is simply the cross, as long as I wear it. And so he gives me a law to cushion the blows, while I wait for the promise of the Father. And the promise of the Father is to give me himself, as though there were no other, just God the Father. But all these translations and these extrasensory perceptions and all these things, they don't interest me really. What would it matter? UCLA, 3 weeks ago, they gave a little weekend group. They charged $100 for 3 days. and they had, I think, 5 speakers. It was crowded to the gunwales. Over 500 attended the class at UCLA. And not one man on that panel, not one, is a man of vision. In his present state, a vision would scare him to death. But he knows all about extrasensory perception and talks about it learnedly. But I've always maintained there's an awful lot of learned ignorance in this world. Any other questions, please?
Here at your lecture,
Well, I would not say this is actually your answer. But many a person coming to my meetings over the years, I started on the 2nd day of February, 1938. And it's been an unbroken series since, from coast to coast. They would come to my meeting, and my terminology differs from theirs. I speak of Jesus Christ more intimately. I bring him down and close the gap between Christ and myself. And treat him as my own wonderful human imagination filled with love. That shocks people. Peace is a state of consciousness as much as war. To animate and to activate peace, the human imagination must enter that state and believe in its reality and dwell in it. The question is, if we play all the parts, can we escape playing the violent part? My dear, I'll say the violent part is being played by God. And you and God are one. We learn eventually to play it more beautifully, as we would avoid certain notes on the piano. But don't destroy the note. You need it for some other piece you're going to play. You can take a discord and resolve it into a dissonance. If I took the notes from that piano that caused the discord, in the hope I would never make another discord, I can't play the piano. So everything must be present, including violence. It tells us in the 10th chapter of Isaiah, behold the Assyrian, the staff in his hand is the rod of my anger. He uses everyone to bring to pass what man is miscreating. Certainly, my dear. But there was no other being to play the part. If I select to play the part of the horrible beast of the world, God and I are one. Therefore, God is playing the part. He submits himself to my choice because he became me, that I may be as he is. He's infinite love. But while I am still asleep, he plays that sacrificial part of playing the parts I select. So there's only God to play all the parts. That's the sacrifice that's told us in the 53rd of Isaiah. Put all the things upon his back. The question here? The question.
Part.
Yeah. In the 6,000 years, the question is this. I have taught you to believe that the journey takes 6,000 years. As Blake said, I behold the visions of my deadly sleep of 6,000 years, dazzling around thy skirts like a serpent of precious stones and gold. I know it is myself, O my Creator and Redeemer. So if 6,000 years is the length of the journey, and within that 6, all parts are being played, can I avoid these horrible parts? Certainly. But in our ignorance, we play them. We fall into them. You will give a banquet one day, the Messianic banquet, everyone will give. And you will see a sea of human imperfection. And you will redeem them. You play the blind, the halt, the withered, everything. They're all waiting for you to walk by. As you walk by, all are molded into perfection. For there were garments that you played, and they're now invited to Messiah's banquet, because you have risen from it all. You see, you're something infinitely greater than any being that you see in this world. You are a supernatural being who is God, playing these parts. The actor is not Hamlet. The actor goes home and leaves Hamlet in the closet.